Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Enter the Gecko commentary. And for this part, we are not revisiting Scream TV, because I hate that level. I'm not a fan of Frankensteinfeld. I think that's the one called Frankensteinfeld. Well, whatever that one's called, that is not a level I'm a fan of. I'll tell you what I am a fan of, though.
It doesn't need to be a horror level. Newman is scary enough.
This other horror level called Thursday the 12th, because it's a doorway puzzle, and for some reason, I have an almost perfect memory for this. I mean, sometimes I slip up, but I never fail this level. And you probably will fail this level the first time you play, because it's basically just try every door until you get the one that sends you up.
Oh, it's Scooby-Doo!
Yeah.
Anyway,
I remember doing this puzzle around the same time I was playing Final Fantasy VII, because the Temple of the Ancients had a puzzle exactly like this. Like, oh god damn it, not this shit.
did I say I had a perfect level? I'm sorry. A perfect memory for this level? No, but I have a good enough
It's
memory
opposite day.
I have a good enough memory that I never screw it up. You have a generous enough amount of time that you might not screw the pooch the first time you play, but depends on how good you are at reorienting yourself every time this happens. Why am I... Oh, right.
Do you lose a life if you run out of time, or are you just kicked out of the level?
Yeah. Gex goes into cardiac arrest.
Ah, okay.
Oh, like Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah, God forbid you don't clean up the trash fast enough. You know, you gotta die and start over again. From the beginning, I'm gonna make a mess until you do it fast enough. What? No, that makes sense.
Oh man, Game Show Network. I have memories of Game Show Network, mostly because there was a time when my brother wouldn't watch anything but Game Show Network. It was kind of fucking annoying because I wanted to use the television.
It's good for having, if you just need to have something on the TV.
Yeah, so better than reality TV.
Okay, Game Show Network was reruns of game shows. Who the fuck watches reruns of game shows?
Well, if you're sick and Price is Right is the only thing on, then you're going to be watching reruns of game shows.
I mean, it's hard enough to go back and watch old seasons of something like MasterChef, because at least those have some sort of quote unquote story going on that differentiates it from another episode of the same thing.
Well, that's actually part of the appeal, actually. You don't have to worry about when it was released, like, what time it came out. It's just like, okay, it's another episode. It's the same stuff. Like, that's kind of the point as to why people watch that kind of thing, honestly.
What, so that they can have something in the background while they're doing other stuff?
Or they just
less.
really like trivia questions and don't care about continuity in the slightest. I don't know.
Yeah, but you don't know the pageantry of Iron Chef.
I'll tell you what, though, like, the movie Matilda basically spoiled game shows for me, because after watching that movie, I always just associated game shows in my mind with horrible parents and used car scam artists. So,
By the way, I love how one of the portraits of that haunted mansion that we just saw there was clearly just a promotional still of Pinhead, but they just cut his head and exposed his brain.
oh man.
It makes sense. Thursday the 12th. It's already kind of bootlegging off Friday the 13th.
That's not Pinhead, Larry.
Who you
Anyway.
call Pinhead?
Kung Fu Theater, which is the level where Gex decides to be a Bruce Lee knockoff, as you can see in the sidebar there.
Is that supposed to be blood on his chest in the side art?
Yeah, it's that Bruce Lee shirtless with blood and cuts on his chest kind of thing that you would see in his movies. I've actually watched several of his films. They're good. I mean, they're old as fuck, but they hold up.
Almost like they were made in the 70s.
I would say this is capitalizing on both Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan films, which are a really big thing in the 90s. At this
Yeah.
And Bruce PlayStation.
That's right, he did have his own game.
No.
It was a piece of shit. I just remembered I rented it once.
There
I
was
think.
a Bruce Lee game?
No, there was a Jackie Chan game. Like a Stuntmaster. I think it was Stuntmaster.
Oh, jeez. But
I almost thought you were going to talk about a Jackie Chan Adventures game.
There's probably one of those, too.
Well, no, I know there is.
Now, I hadn't played this game for a while when I started recording, and I kind of forgot how to avoid all of the attacks in the Kung Fu Theater level, so I'm going to take a lot of dumb hits in this run, unfortunately. I mean, the enemies are easy enough to avoid once you know what you're doing, but... Oh, man. I like the level design in Gex Enter the Gecko. Some of the stages are annoying, but none of them are ever bad, and they tend to have a lot of nice secrets to find, which is something I miss about older game designs. Like, the only game that has level design built around finding secrets that in modern times that I can think of is Doom, because that was like one of the only 3 mechanics the original Doom had that they could
By the way,
bring back.
just for people listening in, if you're wondering what the fuck that cuckoo noise is, that's Lewis trying to turn the camera, but it won't.
Oh, that's what that is? I thought that was just some
Yeah.
random... You know what? Okay, so I didn't really notice it as much at first, because, like, we were in the cartoon level, and it was like, okay, that
Might
makes
be
sense
part of the
for that to
background
be
noise.
in there. But, like, we're in, like, these other levels, and I'm like, okay, like, what is that? I wasn't sure. But okay, that's... Man, wow.
This enemy is one of the more annoying ones because you have to tail whip it in the head, and it's pretty tall, so you gotta jump and tail whip. And you gotta do that twice to kill the thing. Oof.
So, Lewis, does this game save your lives when you quit and enter back in?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was wondering if it did your favorite thing. Which is when they don't do that. That's your favorite thing. It's a fair and honest way to challenge your players.
No, it's not. It's bullshit.
Yeah, Jerry Lewis.
The models for the ninjas. Oh, it's GoldenEye. That's what it is. They look like really chibi-fied GoldenEye models, like when you're playing in multiplayer. It's the faces, because when you're playing in multiplayer for GoldenEye, they take the actors' faces and they've got really terrible textures just plastered on the face area, and it's the same kind of thing that they've got going here. So that's why it's reminding me of that.
Speaking of GoldenEye, though, I have to show you guys the GoldenEye in real life video that came out like a couple days ago.
Oh, man.
They do like the enemy animations perfectly. It's hilarious.
But we already have GoldenEye in real life. It was the movie that the game was based on.
Nobody cares about the movie. If GoldenEye didn't have the video game, it would just be like yet
Another
another
James Bond movie, yeah.
And another movie where Sean Bean dies.
Wait, really? He was doing that
Yeah,
as far
Sean Bean-
back as GoldenEye?
Yeah, Sean Bean was the
Dude,
bad
where
guy.
have you been?
Hey, I was first exposed to Sean Bean in Lord of the Rings. And I've only ever seen him in Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, so...
Well, with Bill Paxton gone, he'll have to carry the torch of dice and everything, he said.
Hey, wait, I like how this cannonball arcs upward, even though the cannon doesn't. It's like, okay.
I actually wonder if they got real Chinese for these, or if they just like drew squiggly lines for all the stuff. In the background.
I wouldn't give them that much credit.
Well, it's easy enough to find Chinese letters. They might not have picked letters that made sense. Like, for all I know, the Chinese letters on those banners are the letters for chicken nugget or something.
Was there just a shine? No, not a shine. What? Not this isn't sunshine. Was this? Did I just see a sign for a Chinese massage in this game?
Yes. You watch Gilligan's Island, Ted?
You like gladiator movies?
Yeah, gladiator movies.
So why were you? Oh, you're trying to talk about your Gilligan's Island / fan fiction. Okay, all right. Professor X Gilligan. That's a pairing I wouldn't have thought, but you know, whatever gets you off.
And
man.
they still can't get off the goddamn island.
But they can get off on the island. Bam, 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 bam.
Why are there random ass scorpions in the Kung Fu level? Are these here because they had a desert level that they didn't finish and they just wanted to use the enemies? I don't get it.
I really like the Scorpion model. I really don't want to get rid of it. Can we please put it in a level? Alright, fine, shut up.
Honestly, that's probably what it did. It was probably more like, okay, guys, I made a scorpion. We don't have a scorpion themed level. Well, we only got enough time to make so many enemies. We're using it anyway. Kung Fu.
Oh, man. So we go from the yin-yang symbol to the kabuki mask, which I'm pretty sure nobody knew what it was when they played this as
And
kids.
that's Japanese, not Chinese.
It's okay. They're dumb kids. They
Oops.
won't be able to tell the difference. Also, like 80% of Americans won't be able to tell the
Well,
difference.
the other thing, though, is that a lot of the movies in that general time frame, that a lot of those Asian movies were, they had a lot of the same movie-making priorities, but whether they were set in China or Japan. Like, I think Bruce Lee was inspired by some Japanese movies, and of course Tarantino just stole something from all of them.
Yeah, it's not.
Actually, aren't ninjas Japanese?
Yeah, ninjas are Japanese. I don't.
Yeah.
Ninjas and samurai. I don't know if. I'm way less familiar with Chinese culture than Japanese culture, and I really only know Japanese culture through, like, TV and internet
What?
and stuff. So I'm not even
Yeah, that
familiar with
ninja
it. So,
was such a master of stealth that he clipped through the floor.
Lewis, stop changing the camera.
Man, they had to.
Oh, actually, that's kind of a really bad thing that happened. If a ninja clips through the floor and it dies off screen, you can't pick up its collectibles.
Yeah, that's why I jumped down. I was hoping I could catch the collectibles, but no. So I'm gonna go through this other level chunk to get the collectibles in here again, which is something that always happens in the in the levels with 2 red remotes for me.
There's probably less remotes in each section.
Basically, here's the thing. There's one. The two remote levels have the same structure almost every time. There's one long pathway that definitely has enough collectibles, and then there's the short pathway that doesn't. Logic would tell you to just wait until you're on the long pathway to start collecting the collectibles, but you don't know which pathway you're on unless you played the level before.
Of course,
So-
there are some in the Priceless Ming Vase, although I don't know how it's a Priceless Ming Vase if everyone has a Priceless Ming Vase.
Well, that's why it's priceless. It's so common that it's worthless.
Yeah.
Touche.
But it's a pain to clean up, so please don't break it.
Ah, the polygons, they're everywhere.
I will give Gex credit though. Aside from the collectibles, they really did try to make everything 3D, which a lot of games from this era didn't do. Like they had like 2D trees and bushes, and those are the things that kind of age the worst in these sort of things. But nearly everything in this game is a polygon, which is impressive, especially for the not the N64. This is the PlayStation. God.
Yeah,
But-
the Tomb Raider engine was fairly big on making that happen. Like, I think even the items in your inventory were 3D models.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad about those tank controls. Jesus.
So how about Gex with tank controls? Huh?
No.
No.
We already have that. It's called Bubsy 3D. Shut up. I have no idea what this collectible is doing up there on the ceiling because you can't climb that. I don't know. Are you supposed to launch yourself off the launch pad at a really awkward angle?
Maybe it's supposed to just tease you.
You can't jump on enemies, I'm guessing, right?
No.
Okay.
You could, but they don't get extra height.
The only way to beat an enemy by jumping on it is to use the tail bounce. But you're just drilling through the enemy and bouncing off the floor at that point.
Okay, so you can't like bounce to get extra height then. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
No, those
And those collectibles just went right through the
Those
floor.
collectibles just went right to the floor.
Damn
Yeah.
it.
Hope those weren't the last 3 you needed.
Man, guys, do you remember how back in the good old days games had to be finished when they were finished and they were still bugged up to fuck when they were finished anyway? So why does everybody remember that like it was the glory days or something?
Oh, hi, Bethesda.
Oh.
And a lot of the times they weren't even finished when they were finished because, you know, you got version like 2.0 where Ganondorf spews mucus instead of blood for some reason. Like,
It's congested, man. Come on.
I mean, granted, day one patches are annoying and whatnot, but I generally just prefer a world where we don't have to live with a game that's broken. So
Yeah, well, technically you didn't have to live with a game that was broken, even as far back as the floppy disk days. It's just that getting the patch that they made for the game was such a goddamn nightmare.
was there a way to do it on consoles though?
On consoles, they basically just released a new version of the game quietly without saying anything.
Yeah, you would have to get another copy of the game.
Yeah,
And you'd have to make sure it was the right copy of the game.
And you'd also have to know that that copy of the game fixed the issue as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So between that and day one patches, I'll take a day one patch. Thank you.
Okay, well, congratulations. You don't get to play Zelda for another 6 hours.
Oh.
Hey, I got you.
Of course, it wasn't really a big deal for most games. I mean, not every game had a game crippling flaw like Ultimate 8 did. That was a floppy disk game that needed a patch because the platforming was fucking broken.
Didn't the patch not even fix it all the way?
The patch changed the jumping controls completely so that you could point at a specific point on the ground and jump to that spot. Sometimes the way that the landscape physics worked didn't play nicely with it, though.
It just removes all platforms altogether. You can't have platform problems if you don't have platforms.
I wish.
Insert that meme picture here.
Oh shit! I just remember what I said. Yeah, damn, you're right.
That was last
fuck.
month's meme, John. Get with the times.
Ultimate 8,
Alright.
for context, was an isometric action RPG. I use the term RPG loosely, where you had to platform across very small platforms over instant death water. And in the original release, this was done by pointing yourself in the direction and jumping at a fixed distance in that direction. And judging the distance and everything very precisely in an isometric perspective. Very frequently you would be angled poorly for it. You would not be able to get to the platform you thought you could get to. That kind of thing.
You know, I think about it now. If a game like Gex were made today with its design, it'd probably be nothing but memes.
Like all the background signs in what's the Luchador Metroidvania?
Guacamelee.
Guacamelee.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I know that these aren't memes in the traditional sense, but they might as well be for the time. Like, if you could share Austin Powers quotes in the 90s with the speed that you do it today, they would be memes. So,
Yeah, Gex is the equivalent of a 90s Let's Player. He's just constantly imitating far more talented actors.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
man, I'm so glad we're not Gex. We're easily above Z any day. Wait, that's worse. No!
Ah, man. Bubsy, who wasn't even funny to begin with.
What could possibly go wrong? But yeah, like if they ever did make like a Gex 4, it probably would be a lot of like internet references and memes and things like that. So it would be just as dated. I'll give it that.
In fact, it would age faster. Spoiled milk.
Okay, so here's a question that I want to ask though, since again, like I didn't know much about Gex when I was a kid. Like I think one kid in elementary school played Gex, and like she brought it up from time to time, but I never got a chance to play it. So I knew that Gex was a thing, but I knew nothing about it until like years and years later. But did the references seem as instantly dated as stuff that tries to do this sort of thing today does?
Well, the more relevant stuff didn't seem dated because again, the Austin Powers was a hit at the time.
And most of his references are like Star Wars and Godfather stuff that everyone still knows today.
And again, it's what Lewis was getting into earlier about some of the references just being timeless. Everybody knows what Looney Tunes is. Everybody knows a kung fu film. Everybody knows what Indiana Jones is, Star Wars, and all that. It's just the one or two offbeat references. It's like, okay, even as a teenager at this time, well, no, I wasn't even a teenager. I was like only about 10 or 11 years old when this game came out. I didn't get like who is this? I bring Gilligan's Island again as a joke, but on a serious note, you know, I didn't grow up watching Gilligan's Island. If my parents were watching something, or if someone was watching that in the household, it was probably Cheers, Three's Company.
Oh man,
but not Gilligan's Island.
I know both of those shows, and I feel old just hearing about them.
Yeah, honestly, Gilligan's Island is probably even a generation before some of our parents. I think it depends on how old our parents were when they had us.
I would expect a Flintstones reference before a Gilligan's Island.
You want to know
what I mean?
what makes me feel old about hearing about Three's Company? Just knowing that a show like that wouldn't happen today. Because Three's Company was this lighthearted, kind of tame sitcom situation about a guy who lived with, two women.
Yeah, but he was also, I think, John Ritter's character in Three's Company was gay, wasn't he?
I'm not even sure, but that kind of show wouldn't happen today because the television network would want it to be all sexy and stuff, you know?
Oh, they basically have that show today. It's probably, I think it's Two Broke Girls. Is from what I've never watched Three's Company, but the way you're describing it, it just sounds like Two Broke Girls. Hopefully, it's better than Two Broke Girls because that show sucks. So,
well, I seem to remember Three's Company being popular enough, anyway.
Well, just because something's popular doesn't mean it's good. Big Bang Theory. Sorry, that cough needs to be looked into.
But you know what? I just realized that, the earlier tangent about Gex 4 possibly being about internet memes, that's a perfect angle, because it would be Gex transitioning from his television addiction to an internet addiction, which is not only the most realistic thing ever, but also very topical.
Could be about him trying to keep up with the times by spouting internet memes that he doesn't understand.
Well, that would be a depressing game, though. He'd be the how do you do, fellow kids guy.
Okay, Gex has always been depressing in a weird way because his backstory is just stupidly serious. If you read it in the manual for the first game, it's like his uncle died in a rocket explosion or something, and what was it, left Gex all this money, and Gex was depressed, so he went on a television binge that lasted for years, and that's how he wound up in the media dimension. And it's like, what? Why?
So, what would happen to him if he discovered Netflix? Would he just never leave his house? Then?
No, that's what got him onto the internet addiction. He discovered Netflix, so he just spends the entire time in front of his computer.
Oh man, we're talking about if a Gex game was made today, I bring up meme culture. There'd probably be an internet-based level, and I dread what that would look like.
Oh, it would probably have neon cats and
Cats.
Numa guys and
Neon cats, Numa guys, people complaining about social justice warriors.
All your base.
they'd probably be a cat enemy because everybody on the internet love cats. I mean, everybody on the internet does love cats, but we've kind of moved on
No, there would be a boss, and it's a giant monster cat on top of a giant piano. And it's a rhythm game.
Actually, this sounds fun. Let's kickstart it.
Yeah, sure.
$12 million.
Let's play a Nyan Cat piano boss fight that uses one of the Japanese pop songs from the Yakuza games.
I'm already terminally ill.
Oh man.
And this dragon, do you need to hit it as many times as it has sections?
Yeah, it's really kind of annoying.
You're just spamming the cannon at this point.
You have to be really careful about the flame breath.
Oh, he didn't die.
Sometimes by a freak of nature accident, it actually does reach far enough to hit you while you're at the cannon.
If I were doing that, I'd probably just wait in the same spot until he loops around.
Yeah, but that takes forever because that takes forever because it doesn't go all that fast. I think it's 30 seconds per loop.
One expensive Easter egg hunt.
What? It's why did that happen? Why did you laugh flat on your face when you're jumping on a platform?
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an extra life or something in this room. Woo! Done.
That was a long level.
Man, now I'm in the mood for takeout for some reason.
I've never
Shut
liked
up. That's
Chinese.
been on my mind since we started.
Actually.
Well, that's racist, Ted.
Now,
Oh,
Chinese
shit, it
food
is
is great.
racist.
You just got to know which dish to order, and if it's like a nice meat dish with rice in it, you're basically golden. And a lot of the takeout sizes are like you get enough food for 2 meals in there, so you eat half of it, you stick it in the refrigerator, and then you got a nice quick lunch the next day.
Or you forget about it, and your whole house smells like Chinese.